Alright, I just wanted to go over the Tweety Bird graphic and provide a couple ideas to help you kind of bring this design to the next level. So within Illustrator, I just select here and I get all my menus. I'm going to have all of these options to the side. So right now we've kind of only conquered the pen tool and traced it out and changed our colors and the size of the stroke. So things that we need to look at now is our layers. All of your images are on one layer. So it makes it sometimes harder for actually tracing out the graphic when everything's stored on one layer. For example, let's say I wanted to just select the eye and hide the eye so I could edit the yellow. I don't know where the eye is. If I hide the layer, everything goes. I'd have to go through each of these eyeballs to kind of sort it out. So if you ever want to sort out your layers, or if it's something you just didn't know how to do in the first place, you hit the new layer button. And I would call this the eye. And you'll notice something really cool. If I find a piece of the eye, one is beak. Okay, so this looks like my beak. Okay, these are all part of an eye, right? So if I put that section and I drag it into my eye layer, what happens now is, well, my layers got messed up because that black is in a different file. Put it on top. This is the downfall to not doing your layers at the beginning. Now stuff kind of gets messed up. So I'm just going to do that for a sec. And we'll do the beak since that one's kind of grouped nicer. So I'm going to change this layer to the beak. We know that most of the stuff in this group is the beak. And so what happened then before was that the eye parts were in different pieces. Oh, the file layers were off. That's why. Interesting. Okay. So if I had set this up and I had my blue and my red, what this means, and you can change the color if you'd like to, but the blue and the red, notice how when I select stuff, you'll see all the blue colors. But if I select the beak, it's got a red line. That kind of tells you automatically what layer it's on just by selecting the piece. And then it goes to that color, so the red color represents the red color of the layer. And then again, you can hide just the eyeball to see what's on that layer too. My computer just crashed. Amazing. If it wants to open back up, hold on one sec. So that's something you can do with your layers. Some things you can do with the pen tool to straighten out your layers. Now is the cool part too. If you select the path, so that just the line is selected, part of your background was traced, so I just selected to delete it because it's in the way. So to do that, I'll just redo that. Every time I selected it, I grabbed the background. If you use your right cursor, you can select individual pieces. So I selected the background and I just hit delete, and now there's nothing there anymore, so it's not going to confuse my image. If I select this, see how I get all the dots that I made with the node? Oh my goodness. I can grab my pencil, and underneath the pencil, and I hold the left cursor click down to get there, is the smooth tool. And now the smooth tool sometimes works really fast, sometimes it's a little finicky. But ideally is if you go through an area and you kind of just keep going over it, and what it does is it changes nodes, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But I like to zoom in so I can actually see exactly where I'm working with. And see here you have this like twisty twist. So that's why the smooth tool didn't work out, because you actually have two clips over each other. And so the smooth tool kind of like did a wonky thing to pull them apart. So what you can do here with the twisty twist is actually go to your pen tool, and there's a delete anchor point. And you can say, I really don't want that one, I don't know what's going on there. And then go back to your smooth tool and kind of work on straightening it out. Minus 222. So I said, by sometimes it's your friend, sometimes, oh, there's still a twist. Interesting. So see, I don't know what's going on here. There's a lot of lines. So what you can do as well is if there's too many lines is I could grab my plus anchor tool and select parts of it, then grab my white cursor, select the anchor, and then kind of move the anchor up. So there's lots of kind of things you can do. You can plus or minus, and again, you can move the handlebars of any new part and straighten it out. That's my child screaming in the background. The other things you can do, I'm going to show you where we can find a better smooth tool part. Let's do it over here just so we kind of get a Y for it. So if I go down here and I grab the line, I can then grab my smooth tool and go smooth out a little bit more here, and it will start to reshape itself. See, and so it thought it needed another node to be more smooth, so it added more nodes. And then the more you go, the more nodes it will continue to add as it feels necessary. And so it adds more nodes. If you don't like it, you just go Command Z and it undoes, or if you're on a Windows, Control Z. So that's it for the smooth tool and the add anchor point minus anchor point tool. Something you might also want to look at is gradients to kind of add a color effect. If I select my eyeball here, I do the blue ones, this is visible. And I open my gradient window, which is hiding, so I can go Window, Gradient, and the icon, I'm trying to put it back on here. The icon looks like a gradient like that when it's all together. So how the gradient menu works is I can drag blue into my gradient, and I can drag it from any place, or I'm going to drag this off so you can see just this window working. If I have my gradient as black to white and change my eyeball to black to white, I can double click the color and then open up the CMYK colors. I have all my colors here, and I can grab the color from the eye if I want to use the eyedropper, and that will come into it, and then I can bring it in. It gives you lots of colors, and you can click to drag down, or if you want to make up a color, I can click anywhere in the gray. See how it makes new spaces? To remove, you just drag it out. But to add a new color, you just double click, and then double click that, and you can actually add other colors. So I'm going to add like a bit of a yellowy black to my middle there. Now, here's also what's cool is you can change like the amount of something, so that it's not as prominent in the gradient, but it's there. And then you can also change, so right now it looks wonky because it's linear, but if you change this to radial, you'll get kind of a cool light source across it, going across. So if you want to add some depth to a color, you can work with the gradient tool, and it creates kind of more depth to your color, it's less flat. Another option with filters is if you select, I'm going to select the outside of my Tweety bird, I go to stylize. There's all these options here where I can drop shadow him, add outer feathers. What that does is if you hit preview, kind of makes the edges less sharp. So it starts feathering the color in, like a dissolve thing. So those are some ideas you can work on to kind of like bring the design up a little bit, to change the presence of anything. And I will send you some new tutorials soon.